Hey guys, welcome to my Valon Deck profile. We all know armors, possibly the one anime archetype fans have been crying out for ever since they were first shown, and for good reason. It's a really interesting concept. Now to fill the deck out, I've had to add cards from the later anime since I don't think generic machine support was exactly prevalent in the Duel Monsters era. So let's get into the deck. Starting with the monsters, we have one Psychic Armorhead, one Trap Buster, one Big Bang Blow, one Jet Gauntlet, one Buster Knuckle, one Advanced Shield, one Buster Pile, one Black Hole Shield, one Double Cloth Armor, two Burning Knuckle, two Overboost, and two Active Guard. They all share two effects. Only one armor monster can attack per turn, and if you control at least two, you can redirect your opponent's attacks to other pieces. This is shown in the anime in an interesting way. The armor cards equip themselves to their controller. This is how only one can attack at any given time, as there's only one duelist, and if a piece is threatened in battle, you can shield it with another. They also have unique effects. Psychic Armorhead lets you search armor monsters by giving up your current draw phase, cannot attack, and can revive itself from your graveyard during your standby phase. Trap Buster negates opponent's trap cards that would either target your armor monsters or destroy two or more monsters on the field. Big Bang Blow basically dark holes the field and burns both players for their combined attack if it's destroyed by battle while you control at least two monsters. Jet Gauntlet is a battle phase exiled force that automatically destroys itself and any monster it battles. Buster Knuckle gains attack for each armor monster you control and deals piercing, but it cannot be summoned unless you have other armor monsters out. Advanced Shield also cannot be summoned without other armors out and cannot attack, which makes it possibly the most pointless of the bunch. Buster Pile has battle immunity, shields you from battle damage if it battles, and can auto-destroy opponent's monsters when attacking in addition to burning the opponents for 500 life points. Black Hole Shield can tribute itself to protect other armor monsters in battle. Double Cloth Armor cannot attack, and if it's attacked, it burns the opponent, then destroys itself and the attacking monster. Burning Knuckle also gains attack for each armor you have out, and if it's destroyed in battle when attacking, it can debuff an opponent's monster. Overboost lets armors attack directly, but destroys itself during the end phase if this attack is used. And Active Guard shields its controller from all damage, but destroys itself during the end phase like Overboost. If armors were to be brought to the real world, several of them would need buffs. It's also a battle phase archetype which hasn't really worked since gladiator beasts were in their prime, but I do like the concept. Moving to the spells, we have Armored Gravitation. This summons up to 4 armor monsters from the deck, but sends them to the graveyard during the end phase. This is by far the best card in the deck, and would need few changes except for maybe a summon restriction and being able to summon from hand to avoid bricking. Next we have Full Armor Gravitation. You draw 10 cards, summon as many armor monsters as possible you pick up, then banish the remaining cards. I think this one would be a bit trickier to use due to the field size limit, and if you were to draw any non-armor monsters, like hand traps, you lose them, so this would need a major rework. Next we have the star of the show, the Seal of Orichalcos. This is obviously the anime version, meaning it cannot be destroyed by card effects, it destroys the legendary dragons if you control them, as well as any fusions you made while returning the fusion materials to the field, it buffs your monster's attack by 500, it lets you use your back row zones as monster zones, which actually lets you use the prior spell, you can move your monsters between the monster and back row zones during your main phase, monsters in the back row cannot be attacked until your front's monster zones are empty, and of course, whoever loses the duel loses their soul. That last one wouldn't actually happen, but if you're making a proxy of the Seal's anime version, you have to put it in for extra flavor. Next we have Data Brain. It's exclusive to Psychic Armorhead, similar to the support cards for Avion, Bubbleman, Burstinatrix, Clayman, and Sparkman. If Armorhead is destroyed by an opponent's spell while equipped with this, you can activate this card from your graveyard and copy the effects of that spell during your next turn. But if you do, this card gets destroyed during the end phase. It is a very situational card, which was kind of standard even in the Zexal anime. Next we have Monster Reborn, a staple card that any deck should run, even in the anime. Next we have Phoenix Gravitation. You can only activate it when you have Psychic Armorhead on the field. It's effectively a soul charge for armors, but they blow up during the end phase. Next we have My Body as a Shield. You can negate and destroy any card your opponent activates if it would destroy at least one monster by paying 1500 life points. Valon never uses this since he wastes his life points in his duel against Joey by attacking Jinzo. But it's a good card, though I don't know if anyone plays it anymore. The final spell is Kishido Spirit. This gives your monsters battle immunity if they battle something with equal attack. Another one Valon doesn't actually use, and I'm not entirely sure how useful it would be for him. For the traps, we have Extinction Fist. If your opponent attacks directly with a fusion or ritual monster, you destroy it, summon the materials used for its summon from your opponent's graveyards to their field, then end the battle phase. Being able to almost immediately shut down a battle phase is really good, but only being usable against 2 monster categories is extremely limiting, and giving your opponents free materials is almost never a good thing. Next we have Magnet Armor. You summon an armor from your graveyard, but it blows up during the end phase. It's basically a temporary Call of the Haunted, but if you bring back a helpful armor piece, you could likely deter attacks. And that's everything Valon is shown to have. Now for my additions. I first added 2 more Black Hole Shield, 2 more Jet Gauntlets, 1 more Psychic Armorhead, 1 more Buster Knuckle, 1 more Active Guard, 1 more Armored Gravitation, and 2 more Magnet Armor. I feel these are some of the more useful armor cards. I will probably change the ratios of the individual pieces in the future. Next I added Limiter Removal. It's a machine deck, so this is kind of a no-brainer. Next I added one of Alistair's cards, Junk Dealer. I think Valon could use this since the detriments don't really affect him. Almost every armor card has 0 attack, so that's wouldn't matter, and if he revived the non-attacking pieces, that wouldn't matter either. Next I added Solidarity. This is mostly to help Buster and Burning Knuckles since their attack boost is pretty paltry, and you'll definitely have armors in the graveyard at all times. Next I added Break Draw. There's no real draw power in armor unless you count full armor gravitation, and since armor is a battling archetype, I think this would go well with them. Next I added Air Cracking Storm. Since only one armor piece can attack at a time, this card's restriction does not matter, and if you could buff Buster or Burning, they could cause major damage with this. Next I added Pot of Greed. No explanation needed for this one. Next I added Pot of Avarice. Phoenix Gravitation is great and all, but we need some way to get armors back into the deck, and this is one of the best ways to do that. Next I added Power Analysis. You target one of your machines, then you can match its attack to an opponent's monster until the end phase. This would be best used defensively when an armor piece gets attacked. The final card I added is Spiritual Earth Arts Kuragane. While you wouldn't be able to use this offensively, it's another way to deter attacks by reviving an armor with a beneficial effect. And that's it for the deck. I for one am really hoping this archetype gets brought to the real world, though it's likely it still hasn't because if Konami did make it, they'd have to make a new monster subtype, so maybe they just don't want to do that. How about you guys? Do you want armors brought over, and how do you think they should do it? Put your thoughts down below. As always, please rate, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on X, consider backing me on Patreon, and remember to stay chilled.